I'm really nervous for how this is gonna go. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have Tyler here because today my husband and I are choosing for each other our next reads. Are you nervous? Are you excited?
I guess I'm nervous because I'm kind of picky about what I read, and I get reading slumps pretty easily, so hopefully you chose something good.
You don't think I can do a good job?
Questionable.
Well, I'll say that I'm definitely nervous about what you chose.
Oh, well, I'm smart, so you'll be fine.
Alright, so I chose 3 different books for Tyler that I kind of narrowed it down to. The first one is From Below by Darcy Coates, and I chose this one because I read it, I think, in the fall of last year, and I was absolutely in love with it, and Tyler knows how much I love it. I don't think he's ever read an adventure horror book before, and I think this one is a really incredible one. The atmosphere is great. The scares are legitimately scary, and it's kind of about like sunken ships, Titanic-esque, and I think that that element is really cool while also kind of wrapping in some paranormal elements. The second book that I am trying to choose between is the second book by S.A. Barnes called Ghost Station. I don't know a ton about this book, but I know that I want to read it, and Tyler and I both read Dead Silence, so we kind of already read the first one and both really enjoyed it, so I think that would be a very safe choice for him. And then the third book that I kind of narrowed it down to was This Wretched Valley by Jenny Kiefer. So Tyler gave me 2 requirements for the next book that I chose for him. He wants it to be shorter, which isn't going to be a problem because most of the books that he reads are 400 pages or more, and I can't remember the last time I've read a book that long, so that one's pretty easy to fulfill. And then he doesn't want something super heavy, like a very dark kind of nonfiction book. He wants to kind of keep it a little bit light. Not necessarily, so I actually don't own any of these, so I have to request it from the library. So I think this will also be the first time Tyler's read a library book in like 2-3 years. And I think the one I'm gonna go with, and maybe this is for a selfish reason, but I think I'm gonna go with Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes. I say selfishly because I have to request it from the library, from a different library, and get it shipped to my library, so after he's done reading it, I'm also gonna read it because I wanna read it, so there's my kind of selfish reason, but he did really like Dead Silence, and he does love sci-fi. I feel like it's a very safe pick for him, whereas my other 2 are kind of outside of his comfort zone. They're both adventure horror books, and while I think he would love them, I can't guarantee that, where I feel like this one he's really gonna enjoy.
Okay, so when thinking of a book for Jenna to read, it was kind of hard because most of the books we own in this house are mine, which means they're mostly science fiction, fantasy, books like that. So I kind of went through and I was between 3 of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck, Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, 6 Wakes by Mur Lafferty. One of the requirements from Jenna was that it wasn't too long because she knows a lot of my books are really long. So these are pretty short, and I chose them all for different reasons. Of Mice and Men I chose, it's one of my favorite books and probably my favorite like classic novel, and if you've never read it, you can see it's extremely short, like barely over 100 pages in this edition. And Jenna usually likes classics more than I do, so I think she'd really like it, and she would be able to finish it before her trip. So that's why I chose this one. It's just a book I love that she has never read. Dark Matter by Blake Crouch I chose, also short, is a science fiction thriller with a lot of mystery, and one of the things Jenna likes is like having questions answered. So this is definitely one of those kind of books, and Blake Crouch is kind of hot. A lot of people say he's the new Michael Crichton, which I don't think she would care about, but she is a big Doctor Who fan, so I think the science fiction stuff she would like, while also still having the mystery stuff. 6 Wakes is a book I read a long time ago, and I don't remember everything about it, but Jenna really liked this book, a ghost ship book, and it kind of reminded me of this, where this is a kind of also a mystery thriller, who killed who kind of book. So I think it would still get a lot of those like questions answered things for Jenna, while still being kind of science fiction and fitting with that kind of genre she likes, with those like science fiction horror-y stories. It's also a really quick read. I remember when I read this, I read it in like a day or 2. Ultimately, I am choosing Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, and the primary reason is this is definitely the most well-liked out of the 2 thriller ones. And if she likes this, Blake Crouch has other books that are highly reviewed. I've read Recursion. It's the only other one I've read, which I also liked. So it would give her a couple of options if she wanted to keep reading more. He's also kind of like popular and gets you kind of in kind of some book talk like circles about him. That is why I chose it over this one and over Of Mice and Men, which while it is short and I love it, because it is so short, you can really read it whenever you want to. It's such a quick read. So it's not like this is a missed opportunity. If she ever wanted to read this, she could read it in a day. So that is why I chose Dark Matter by Blake Crouch.
Tyler!
Did it beep yet?
Nope. Here you go.
My book! Nice.
Any final thoughts before you start reading? Predictions?
I kind of have a feeling that I will actually like it, and that I will be on the side that actually does enjoy it. I thought the other one was really good, so hope so. Finally gonna sit down and start reading Ghost Station. I've been kind of putting it off for a little bit. I don't really know what to expect. I know there's a lot of mixed opinions about it, but let's see how it goes. Just finished my first reading session. So far it's fine, you know, pretty simple setup. Really just wondering so far if it's gonna be ghosts or if it's just gonna be that people kind of went crazy with this ERS thing. That is my prediction, is that it's not actually ghosts and that Ghost Station is kind of a throw off and it's only called that because it's abandoned, but it's trying to set up that maybe it's haunted. I think it's not going to be, and it's going to be more like a scientific horror.
So I accidentally read 50% of this book in like 2 hours. So I would definitely say that it's pretty good. I've never read any book quite like it before, which I think is part of the reason that Tyler picked it out and why so many people just love it. It's definitely a sci-fi thriller combo, kind of speculative fiction. I know Tyler mentioned that it would be a lot like Doctor Who when he picked it out, and I would definitely agree. I think by the pace of how quickly I'm reading this definitely could end up being a 5-star for me. But either way, Tyler did pretty good.
Another update here. The last time I read, I actually didn't decide to record, and that was probably a mistake since I read most of the book last time. That kind of second act of this book really picked up and I got really into it. I ended up reading for a really sustained amount of time. A lot of the mystery things started to get answered and they weren't exactly what I thought they were. And now that I've gone through, I compared this book to Jena to The Thing in terms of isolation, and it's becoming even more so like that now with some of the body horror that is happening. So I got really into it and ended up reading most of it. I've got a few minutes to read here, so I'm going to try to get myself close to the end so that tonight I can finish this thing and give you some thoughts. Last page. Well, just finished. A couple quick thoughts. I actually thought it was pretty good, I think, initial thoughts. Maybe that's just because I had pretty low expectations and it was a slow start, so this last half was pretty satisfying compared to that. So maybe it's just my expectations. But some things to think about before Jenna and I come back to talk about it. Definitely like Dead Silence more. And initially, I think that's pretty clear. But I think this was better than I thought. So I'm glad I read it since I was pretty curious about it after Dead Silence. But guess I'll think about it a little bit more and then we'll come back and talk.
All right, I think I am minutes away from finishing this book. Finished. I think this might be a 5-star read. I read it essentially in one sitting, so obviously it was hard for me to put down. It was super easy for me to pick up, and I think I would recommend it to quite a lot of people, which meets all of my criteria. So This worked out, this little exchange with Tyler and I worked out pretty well in my favor. I'm a little nervous that his isn't going as well as my journey is, but I'm pretty satisfied. I definitely think what Tyler told me about this book was true, that it's a sci-fi thriller, kind of reminiscent of some Doctor Who multiverse type of stories that I've seen before, but definitely unique. Yeah, I don't have a ton of words for this one, honestly. If you're looking for something in the sci-fi genre that's super easy to pick up and read, I'd look for this one. Even if you're not looking for something in the sci-fi genre, I think this one's worth it on its own. I think almost anyone could enjoy this book. So, 10 out of 10, highly recommend, highly endorse. Welcome back. For you, it's only been a couple seconds. For us, I think it's been more than a month, maybe just exactly a month. I finished Dark Matter and Tyler's finished Ghost Station. So we're here to kind of talk about our thoughts and what we thought about choosing each other's next reads.
So Ghost Station is a book that we both wanted to read because we both liked the previous book. I guess my thoughts on it was fine. I had heard it was disappointing from some other YouTubers, and Goodreads was kind of mixed. But maybe that helped my enjoyment a little bit, is that my expectations were lowered a little bit. But it was still just okay. It had some things I liked. There's a little bit of, spoilers for you, I guess, body horror in it.
Great. You know how much I love that.
Yeah, which I like, so that helped a lot. I think it probably took a little too long to get going. And I'm actually usually okay with slower books, but I don't feel like the characters were interesting enough for it to be slow. Because a lot of times when like a good slow book happens, it's because the character like build up is so good and you really like the characters and getting to know them. This time they were fine. They were very much like basic horror characters.
Would you recommend the book for people who like Dead Silence?
Yeah, you can tell it's written by the same author. I would just say, like, if you really, really like Dead Silence, you should still read it. Just like keep your expectations at a normal level. Because, like, you will probably not like it as much, but I still think you would like it.
For me, I absolutely love Dark Matter. I think that I probably got the better deal out of this. Not that you had a bad time, but, like, I had a 5-star read, and I definitely don't think that you had that experience. All I knew about Dark Matter is that it was a sci-fi thriller. I don't think I've ever read a sci-fi thriller, and I don't think I've ever read a book that deals with alternate universes and alternate realities before. And this was a very fun and frankly chaotic way to deal with this. I would argue that some of it leaned into the absurdist humor of it, which I really liked. I know that Tyler picked this because I really like Doctor Who, and I do think that it is reminiscent in that slightly, but I oddly think that it's a little bit more similar to like the Marvel universe now that they're kind of like dipping into alternate realities. Like, I wouldn't say that because I watched Doctor Who, I was well versed in understanding this or liking this necessarily. But I definitely understand why you were picking up Doctor Who vibes.
Yeah, and like when I compare it to Doctor Who, it's not like tonally similar to Doctor Who. It's more just like science thriller was what I was going for. So I thought you would like that, where it's like it's a science fiction concept, but it's not necessarily doing it for like social commentary. It's doing it to create like a thriller, just like a Doctor Who, like a fun Doctor Who episode is going to do a scientific thing to make a really fun like hour episode.
I definitely also really liked the messaging in this one, just about that, of course, you could have made 1,000 different choices in your life, but that wherever you ended up, you were supposed to end up there for a reason, and that maybe this really is the best path for you. I really enjoyed that as someone who also wonders what if, like I imagine we all do. It was very reassuring for me. So I loved that there was a positive message wrapped into all of this, and a very clearly positive message wrapped up too. Overall, the process of having Tyler choose my next read, I think it was super fun. I trust you, but we just read very, very different things. We both like sci-fi, but when I say sci-fi, I mean a very different thing than when you say sci-fi. Tyler reads 400-500-page fantasy sci-fi books. Those just don't interest me, and so, I don't know. It was very clear that he put some thought into what I would actually like, and not just... Clearly you thought about me when you were choosing the book process, so that was fun. And I would also say that I always read books that are recommended by someone a lot quicker, even if it's just a video that I saw on TikTok that recommended the book. Recommendations mean a lot for me, so I was able to digest this and read this very quickly because it came from someone that I loved and I cared about and What do you think of the process?
I think it was fun, but I don't think I could do it like frequently, I guess. I think I could do it maybe like once a year, and that's more about me than it is about what you chose. I'm very picky when it comes to reading books. It's probably why I'm not very adventurous and I stay in a genre, because I have like an issue DNFing things. It's like I have a really hard time giving up, and I will just suffer through something I hate just to like see the end of it. So I get really picky about books. I'm not that way with like movies or things like that. That's 2 hours, but a book, and I don't read as fast as Jena, can take me a long time.
For me, I feel like this is a perfect thing to do to get you out of a reading slump. Get a friend to recommend you something that you want. Find someone who cares about you, ask what they're reading, ask what you should read next. I felt like this was a very fun experiment, I guess, and kind of, I don't know, got me out of a slump, a funk. It was just a fun, different thing to do to kind of choose my next reads. So I already said, but I gave Dark Matter 5 out of 5 stars.
I ended up giving it 3 stars. I debated 4, but not super long, because I just don't think the characters were good enough for me to like really get invested. But some of the horror stuff was fun, so I give 3.
Well, Ghost Station is on my TBR list, so let me know in the comments below if you're interested in us doing a full-blown video on Ghost Station, talking about the author, talking about Dead Silence. Once I finish reading that, let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you next time.